Welcome to the Know. I'm Brian.
I'm Gus.
So we need to talk about this whole Rockstar / Red Dead Redemption 2 situation. One of the founders of the company, Dan Houser, gave an interview with Vulture talking about just sort of all that goes into Red Dead Redemption 2. And
lots of horses.
Lots of horses, lots of voice actors, and lots of work hours, apparently. He said, and this was sort of the quote he talked about that kind of set everyone off. He mentioned that they have been working 100-hour weeks on the game.
Wow,
and
that's a lot of hours.
Yeah. I didn't, obviously most normal work weeks are 40 hours a week. And so I did the math. And if you do that, that's more than 14 hours a day for 7 days a week, no days off. So
wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Imagine if you have a 40-hour-a-week job.
Yep.
Work that 2.5 times in a week.
Yeah.
That's 100 hours.
And so this kind of brings up a lingering issue in the industry, which is crunch, which is, and he didn't get into, are they doing this every single week? Is this just something that
How long has it been going on?
Exactly. But they've been working on this game for a long time, I think about 7 years. But crunch is something that happens, I think, in a lot of companies when games get close to release. And so this really set off a lot of criticism, even from within the industry. There was somebody.
I bet especially within the industry.
Yeah. Mike Bethel, developer of Thomas Was Alone and other games, talked about kind of bad practices in the industry. He went on a tweet storm and said, if I ever boast about my team having to do overtime because I can't manage them properly and actually use that as a selling point, please screen cap this tweet and send it to me hundreds of times until I depart this godforsaken website in shame. Yeah, because I think Rockstar sort of pointed to the, well, yeah, we're working hard.
Yeah, like look at us. We're working hard to make the game you want,
right.
So you can play pretend cowboy,
right.
and complain about the most minor things in the game.
But we shouldn't. This is not just Rockstar by any means. I mean,
no.
there's this is kind of an industry-wide.
I remember years ago, I believe there was a blog set up by spouses of people who worked at EA complaining that the people who worked at EA were working too much and neglecting their family.
And back in 2010, just before the first Red Dead release, there was that open letter from wives of Rockstar San Diego employees. They claimed the team was expected to work 60-hour weeks. Boy, that seems like a vacation now. 12-hour days.
That's a whole work week off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one job subtracted.
60-hour weeks, 12-hour days, including Saturdays, or they would face disciplinary action. Rockstar sort of blew that off, and they said at the time, we're saddened if any former members of any studio did not find their time here enjoyable or creatively fulfilling, and wish them well with finding an environment more suitable to their temperaments and needs.
Ouch.
But the vast majority of our company are focused solely on delivering cutting-edge interactive entertainment. So, yeah. Sorry if you don't like it.
What a privilege to work 60-hour weeks is what I'm getting out of that.
Funny you mentioned that, because GamesIndustry.biz asked Strauss Zelnick, who's CEO of Take-Two, which owns Rockstar, kind of asked them about this whole thing about crunch and about the spouses writing that open letter for the first game. Zelnick responded, they're really proud of it, their work practices. He said, we have a hardworking company. It's a privilege to work at our company and our labels, and I believe that our work practices are sound and appropriate. It is a very busy time, but it's a time that people are anxious to participate in, and I stand behind it.
Real talk. Do you think he's working 100 hours a week, too? Do you think the CEO's burning the midnight oil in there?
Or if he's off to the golf course at 4:30.
Yeah, he's like, no, we're all really proud of it. Anyway, tea time.
Well, even if he is putting in 100-hour work weeks, which I doubt, but he's the CEO. He's getting, I would assume, probably millions of dollars for this, whereas you're sort of, lower level employees. I'm sure they're paid well, but like
not 2.5 jobs well.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
since he already said privilege, can I say they have a sense of pride and accomplishment? Can we loop that in as well into this story?
Exactly. What do you think is, because again, this is something that happens. We've seen this over and over again. How do they avoid this? Do you hire more people? Do you plan it out? What do you think causes
it seems
this?
like it's you have this. I mean, ultimately, they can avoid this by pushing the release date.
Right.
But I know they don't want to do that, so they're trying to get it done. I think it boils down to more people, and then better forecasting for your planning to make sure that everything gets done in a timely fashion, and that you don't end up with this. Like, this may be the result of some projects or some things that aren't associated with each other slipping in their development, and it kind of builds up and creates this monster at the end.
And isn't game development too kind of notorious for this too? Of like, you know, deadlines getting busted, but also this is a massive, massive game. I mean, he talked in the interview. It's got 300,000 animation. 300,000 animations, plural, 500,000 lines of dialogue, and many more lines of code, 700 voice actors.
Wow.
So it's just the scope of these games, and this is what makes Rockstar games great. I mean, I think they're constantly pushing what is capable in a video game.
Oh, yeah,
The
absolutely.
graphics, the world. I can't imagine anything being this massive. So that's what makes them great, and we love that part of it. But yeah.
You don't want to know how the sausage is made.
Right.
Yeah, because it's ugly, and it's potentially catastrophic to these people's families and their work-life balance, and spending time away from work.
These kind of work hours, I do feel like, and I've never had a job where I've had to work this, that kind of, sorry, Rooster Teeth, but like that can be catastrophic, like on your relationships, marriages, things like that. It does feel like, maybe you don't want to see how the sausage is made, because that involves 100-hour work weeks.
Oh yeah, that's terrible. And I think the most disturbing part of it is the way that this information was conveyed.
Yeah.
As a sense of like, oh, look how hard we're working, instead of this isn't something that should be boasted about. This isn't something that should be celebrated. I think as a whole, the industry's trying to move beyond this, and we've seen, I think, some progress in that regard. And it's disheartening to see this. It seems like a step backwards.
And I don't think I've never looked at a Rockstar game, or really any game, and thought they probably didn't work hard.
Yeah.
Like, I've always thought, I played GTA 5, you worked hard on this. You don't have to tell me that. And in fact, there was a person who worked, Dylan Wildman tweeted, they worked at Rockstar Games in 2012 as a quality assurance tester, called himself a survivor of GTA 5 crunch, said it was hell. He said, to put it simply, the real people who help make the games are the nameless, faceless people you'll never know of. The studio bigwigs will come out and sing praise about their product, but they won't be the people putting out the soul-destroying hours to make the masterpiece games.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That's like we said, the CEO's not in there busting the 100-hour week with the rest of them.
He's giving interviews talking about how hard everybody else is working.
Yeah, that's bad. And like I said, I think the industry's gotten better, and hopefully the strides continue to be made.
It does, yeah. It does feel like they need to come to a more humane schedule. It just doesn't seem sustainable.
Yeah, I'm curious to know. Like, there's a lot of unknowns, right? Like, how long has this crunch been going on?
Right.
How long is it going to go on for? Did they know in time to push a release date?
Yeah.
And also, maybe as gamers, we need to be more understanding when dates get pushed.
Yeah.
And, maybe we bear some of that responsibility. I think even when a lot of people get upset about release dates getting pushed, then developers don't want to push them, and maybe you end up with situations like this. I'm not saying it's entirely the consumer's fault.
Right.
I'm saying that maybe we have a hand in it as well.
Well, and Red Dead Redemption 2's release date did get pushed, right? It was supposed to come out like, I think, spring of this year, and it got pushed. But at least my take was, it's fine. I'd rather wait a little while and have a better game. And I assume that if it got pushed once, there was probably, obviously it wasn't ready, but maybe then it was a situation of, we pushed it once, we don't want to push it again.
Sure.
Like, we're gonna get it out. And you're right, like, we don't know if this was 100-hour work week, if it was 10, if it was 20, it doesn't really say. And they released a statement after, I think Kotaku published something, kind of walking it back, like, whoa.
Oh, y'all are angry about that. My bad.
Yeah. So hopefully it wasn't, but from my perspective, just one 100-hour work week is enough.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So yeah, that's what's going on with Rockstar and the work environment. That's kind of the controversy that's been going around the internet today. We just wanted to talk about it a little bit. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. And for all your news from the internet, like, subscribe to The Know. Better yet, go to theknow.tv. We will never put out 100 hours of content a week.
Let's do it next week.
Fuck.
Now.
Fuck.
No.